Unexpected ambassador. Jake Thompson stared out the window of his suburban home, watching raindrops race down the glass. It was just another dreary Tuesday in Seattle, and the 17-year-old was lost in thought about his upcoming calculus test. Little did he know that in a matter of hours, calculus would be the least of his worries. A sudden flash of light illuminated the cloudy sky, followed by a thunderous boom that shook the house to its foundation. Jake's first thought was lightning, but as he peered out the window, his jaw dropped. Descending through the clouds was an enormous silver disc, easily the size of a football stadium. "Mom, Dad, you need to see this," Jake shouted, his voice cracking with a mix of excitement and fear. His parents rushed into the room, and together they watched in awe as the alien craft settled gently in the park across the street. News helicopters appeared within minutes, their spotlights trained on the otherworldly vehicle. Jake's phone buzzed incessantly with messages from friends, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the scene unfolding before him. As night fell, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. Jake stayed glued to the television, watching as humanity made its first official contact with an alien civilization. The visitors called themselves the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of advanced species dedicated to exploring the universe and sharing knowledge. Days turned into weeks as Earth's governments negotiated with the aliens. Jake's life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, albeit with the addition of alien news updates interrupting his classes. Then came the announcement that would change his life forever. As part of our cultural exchange program, the alien ambassador announced, her holographic image flickering in living rooms across the globe, "We invite Earth to send a student representative to the prestigious Galactic Academy. This young ambassador will study alongside the brightest minds from across the cosmos, fostering understanding between our civilizations." Jake's parents exchanged worried glances. "They can't possibly expect us to send a child into space," his mother said, her voice tinged with concern. But the next day, as Jake walked home from school, a sleek black car pulled up beside him. A man in a crisp suit stepped out, his expression serious. "Jake Thompson," the man asked, flashing a government ID. "I'm Agent Collins. We need you to come with us." Before Jake could process what was happening, he found himself in a stark white room, facing a panel of stern-faced officials. "Mr. Thompson," a woman in a military uniform addressed him. "After careful consideration, you have been selected as Earth's student ambassador to the Galactic Academy." Jake's mind reeled. "Me? But why? I'm nobody special." A scientist with wild grey hair leaned forward. "On the contrary, Jake, our analysis shows you possess a unique combination of traits: adaptability, empathy, and problem-solving skills. You represent the best of humanity's potential." The next few days passed in a blur of medical exams, crash courses in alien etiquette, and tearful goodbyes to his family and friends. Before he knew it, Jake was strapped into a shuttle, rocketing away from the only home he'd ever known. As Earth shrank to a blue marble behind him, Jake's stomach churned with a mixture of excitement and terror. The shuttle docked with a massive starship, and Jake got his first up-close look at the various alien species that made up the Galactic Confederation. There were tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin, squat creatures that seemed to be made entirely of living crystal, and everything in between. Jake felt overwhelmed by the cacophony of alien languages and the dizzying array of unfamiliar scents and sounds. A holographic guide materialized beside him. "Welcome, Jake Thompson of Earth. I am ARIA, your personal assistant during your journey to the Galactic Academy. Please follow the illuminated path to your quarters." Jake trudged along, his legs wobbly from the artificial gravity. As he walked, he couldn't help but notice the stares and whispers from the alien passengers. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with what he hoped was admiration, and a few with what seemed suspiciously like hunger. His quarters were small but comfortable, with a viewport that offered a stunning view of the stars streaking by. As Jake settled in, the reality of his situation finally hit him. He was light years from home, the sole representative of his entire species, about to attend a school where he'd likely be the least intelligent student. "What have I gotten myself into?" Jake muttered, flopping onto his bed. Aria's hologram appeared again. "We will be arriving at the Galactic Academy in approximately 12 Earth hours. I suggest you rest and review the orientation materials provided." Jake nodded, reaching for the tablet-like device on his nightstand. As he scrolled through information about the Academy's history, curriculum, and student body, his eyes grew wider and wider. The Galactic Academy was located on a massive space station orbiting a binary star system. It boasted technology beyond his wildest dreams and offered courses in subjects he couldn't even pronounce. The student body comprised thousands of species, some so alien that Jake's brain struggled to comprehend their forms. As sleep finally claimed him, Jake's last thoughts were a jumble of excitement and anxiety. He was about to embark on the greatest adventure of his life, representing humanity among the stars, but a nagging question lingered in the back of his mind. How could he, an average kid from Seattle, possibly measure up in a school for the galaxy's elite? The next morning, or what passed for morning in the depths of space, Jake was jolted awake by Aria's cheerful voice. "Rise and shine, Jake Thompson of Earth. We have arrived at the Galactic Academy." Jake scrambled to the viewport, his breath catching in his throat as he took in the sight before him. The space station was a marvel of engineering, a gleaming spiral of metal and light that dwarfed even the massive starship he'd arrived on. Smaller vessels darted about like fireflies, ferrying students and supplies. As he donned the sleek, form-fitting uniform provided for him, Jake tried to calm his nerves. "You can do this," he told his reflection in the mirror. "You're representing Earth, no pressure." The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth, and before he knew it, Jake was stepping onto the Academy grounds. The arrival hall was a riot of color and sound, filled with students of all shapes and sizes. Jake felt a moment of panic as he realized he couldn't spot a single other human in the crowd. A tall, elegant being with 4 arms and shimmering, sphere-like skin approached him. "Welcome, Jake Thompson of Earth. I am Dean Zixria. We are honored to have you join us at the Galactic Academy." Jake stammered out a greeting, trying to remember the proper alien etiquette he'd been taught. As the dean led him on a tour of the facility, Jake's head spun with information overload. There were anti-gravity recreation areas, holographic lecture halls, and laboratories filled with equipment he couldn't begin to comprehend. "And this will be your dormitory," Dean Zixria said, gesturing to a sleek building. "You'll be sharing a suite with 3 other first-year students. We believe in fostering interspecies cooperation from day one." As they approached the door, it slid open to reveal Jake's new roommates. His eyes widened as he took in the scene, a being that seemed to be made entirely of swirling gas, contained within a translucent exosuit, a furry, 6-limbed creature with large, expressive eyes, and a towering insectoid alien with iridescent wings folded neatly behind its back. "Oh, hi," Jake said, waving awkwardly. "I'm Jake, from Earth." The gas being pulsed with light in what Jake hoped was a friendly manner. A mechanical voice emanated from its exosuit. "Greetings, Jake of Earth. I am Zephyr of the Nebula Collective." The furry alien bounded over, its multiple limbs moving in perfect coordination. "Oh, how exciting. A real human. I'm Lyrax, and I simply must know everything about your planet." The insectoid being clicked its mandibles, antennae twitching. "Greetings, soft one. I am Vex, chair of the Hive Imperium. Your lack of exoskeleton is intriguing." As Jake fumbled through introductions and tried to answer a barrage of questions about Earth, he couldn't help but feel a glimmer of excitement cutting through his anxiety. This was it. He was at the frontier of human experience, about to embark on an educational journey unlike any other. Little did Jake know that his adventure was just beginning, and that his time at the Galactic Academy would challenge him in ways he never imagined, and reveal strengths he never knew he possessed. Alien attraction. Jake's first day of classes at the Galactic Academy dawned bright and early, or at least, That's what his artificial day cycle simulator told him. In reality, the vast expanse of space outside his window remained as dark and star-studded as ever. As he made his way to his first lecture, Introduction to Quantum Astropolitics, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of being a fish out of water. The corridors bustled with aliens of all shapes and sizes, their conversations a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and languages his universal translator struggled to keep up with. The lecture hall itself was a marvel of technology. As Jake took his seat, a holographic interface sprang to life in front of him, displaying a three-dimensional model of the known universe. The professor, a being that seemed to be made entirely of shimmering light, began the lesson. Today, we will discuss the delicate balance of power between the major galactic factions. The professor's voice resonated directly in Jake's mind. Please access the quantum probability matrices in your data paths. Jake stared blankly at his device, his finger hovering uncertainly over the myriad of unfamiliar symbols. A gentle tendril of light touched his shoulder, and he looked up to see a jellyfish-like creature floating beside him. "You seem lost, Earth friend," it burbled kindly. "Here, let me show you." With the alien's help, Jake managed to muddle through the lesson, though most of it went over his head. As he left the class, his mind reeling from concepts that seemed more like magic than science, he couldn't help but feel a pang of inadequacy. His next class, however, was one he had been looking forward to: comparative xenobiology and physical education. Finally, a subject where he might not be completely out of his depth. The gymnasium was a zero-gravity chamber the size of a football stadium. Students of various species were already floating about, stretching appendages Jake didn't even know could be stretched. The instructor, a muscular, four-armed being with metallic skin, bellowed out instructions. Today, we'll be focusing on agility and reaction time in variable gravity conditions. Pair up and prepare for the obstacle course. Jake found himself partnered with Lyrax, his furry, six-limbed roommate. As the gravity shifted unpredictably, they had to navigate a series of floating platforms, energy barriers, and holographic projectiles. To Jake's surprise, he found himself excelling. Years of playing video games and sports had honed his hand-eye coordination and spatial awareness. He leaped, ducked, and weaved through the course with an agility that left many of his alien classmates stunned. "By the cosmic egg," Lyrax exclaimed as they finished the course in record time. "I had no idea humans were so graceful." Jake grinned, a newfound confidence surging through him. For the first time since arriving at the academy, he felt like he truly belonged. As they left the gym, Jake noticed something odd. Many of the alien students were staring at him, their eyes or equivalent sensory organs, tracking his every move. Some even seemed to be sniffing the air around him curiously. "Ah, Lyrax," Jake whispered. "Why is everyone looking at me like that?" Lyrax's fur rippled in what Jake had learned was their equivalent of a chuckle. "Oh, Jake, don't you know? Your physical display in class was quite impressive to many species here, and your unique human pheromones are causing quite a stir." Jake felt his face flush. "Pheromones? What are you talking about?" Before Lyrax could explain, they were approached by a group of aliens. A tall, willowy being with iridescent skin stepped forward, its multifaceted eyes glimmering with interest. "Greetings, Jake of Earth," it said, its voice melodious. "I am Zaravek. We couldn't help but admire your performance in physical education. Perhaps you would join us for sustenance and conversation." Jake stammered, caught off guard by the alien's forwardness. Thanks, but I have another class to get to." As he made his excuses and hurried away, Jake could feel the weight of dozens of alien gazes following him. He ducked into a quiet alcove, trying to catch his breath and make sense of what was happening. "Having trouble with your admirers, soft one?" a familiar clicking voice asked. Jake turned to see Vex Char, his insectoid roommate, standing nearby. "Admirers?" Jake squeaked. "What's going on, Vex Char?" The insectoid's antennae twitched in amusement. It seems you've unintentionally become quite the object of fascination, Jake. Your unique biology, combined with your physical prowess, has made you. How do humans say it? Ah yes, hot stuff. Jake groaned, burying his face in his hands. This was not what he had signed up for when he agreed to be Earth's student ambassador. How was he supposed to focus on his studies and represent humanity when half the student body seemed to view him as some kind of exotic curiosity? As the days went by, Jake's predicament only intensified. In his xenobiology class, he found himself the subject of intense scrutiny as they studied human anatomy. His simple acts of kindness, like helping a silicon-based life form with their homework, were interpreted as bold romantic gestures by some species. Even in the cafeteria, he couldn't escape the attention. Alien students from across the galaxy would offer him bizarre delicacies from their homeworlds, each hoping to impress the mysterious human with their culinary skills. One particularly memorable incident occurred in his advanced telepathic communication class. As the students practiced projecting their thoughts, Jake found his mind flooded with a barrage of alien emotions and desires, many of which made him blush from head to toe. Mr. Thompson, the instructor, a being of pure psychic energy, chided gently. Please try to control your broadcast thoughts. Your human emotions are quite distracting to the class. Jake sank lower in his seat, wishing he could disappear. He had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, to represent Earth, and to broaden his horizons. Instead, he felt like he had been cast as the lead in some bizarre interstellar reality dating show. As he retreated to his dorm room that evening, dodging invitations and proposal-like offers from a dizzying array of alien suitors, Jake couldn't help but wonder. How could he possibly navigate this complex web of alien social dynamics while staying true to his mission as Earth's ambassador? Little did he know, his unintentional popularity was about to create waves that would ripple far beyond the Academy's walls, setting in motion events that would test not only Jake's diplomatic skills, but the very future of Earth's place in the galactic community. Misunderstandings and mayhem. As weeks passed at the Galactic Academy, Jake found himself walking a precarious tightrope between his studies, his diplomatic responsibilities, and the ever-growing attention from his alien classmates. He had hoped that the novelty of his human presence would wear off, but if anything, the fascination with him only seemed to intensify. One particularly chaotic morning began in his interspecies ethics and communication class. The instructor, a gelatinous being named Professor Blob, had assigned a project on cultural gestures across different species. Remember, Blob gurgled, what's polite in one culture may be highly offensive in another. Be mindful of your actions. Jake nodded, thinking this would be a perfect opportunity to clear up some of the misunderstandings that had been plaguing him. He approached a group of his classmates, determined to explain that his actions weren't meant to be flirtatious. Hey everyone, he began. I wanted to talk about some of the cultural differences between humans and... He was cut off by a collective gasp. The crystal-like being to his left had suddenly turned a deep shade of purple, while the aquatic alien to his right began emitting a high-pitched trill. Jake, exclaimed Zarovek, the willowy alien he met earlier. We had no idea you felt so strongly. To think you make such a bold declaration in public. Jake blinked in confusion. What? No, I was just trying to. But his protests were drowned out by a cacophony of excited alien chatter. Apparently, the simple act of addressing a group directly was seen as a marriage proposal on some worlds, a challenge to ritual combat on others, and a declaration of mundane loyalty on yet others. As news of Jake's bold move spread through the academy like wildfire, the human found himself at the center of a rapidly escalating series of misunderstandings. Gifts began appearing at his door, everything from rare minerals to what he hoped were merely statues of himself made from some sort of alien secretion. In the cafeteria, a fight broke out between a group of energy beings and a collective of sentient plants, each claiming that Jake's choice of lunch seat was a clear indication of his preference for their species. Desperate to clear things up, Jake decided to hold a public address. Surely, If he explained everything clearly, this madness would end. He asked OIA, his AI assistant, to book him the Academy's main auditorium and send out invitations to the entire student body. As he stepped onto the stage, facing a sea of alien faces and other sensory appendages, Jake took a deep breath. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "I wanted to address some of the misunderstandings that have been going around. On Earth, our customs and gestures are different, and I'm afraid my actions have been misinterpreted." He went on to explain various human behaviors, emphasizing that his friendly nature wasn't an invitation for romantic or diplomatic overtures. As he spoke, he noticed a shift in the audience. Some seemed to deflate, quite literally in some cases, while others nodded in understanding. Just as Jake thought he was making progress, a booming voice echoed through the auditorium. "Enough of this, FRC." All heads turned to see Krex, a warlike Volbanian exchange student, stomping down the aisle. The reptilian alien's scales bristled with anger. "I see through your clever ploy, human," Krex snarled. "This whole speech is just another layer of your intricate mating ritual, isn't it? Well, I won't be outdone." Before Jake could react, Krex leaped onto the stage and dropped to one knee, or the Volbanian equivalent. "Jake Thompson of Earth, I challenge you to Grokantar, the ritual of passionate combat. If I emerge victorious, you shall become my life mate." The auditorium erupted into chaos. Some students cheered, others protested, and a few seemed to take this as a cue to issue their own challenges and proposals. In the ensuing madness, furniture was overturned, impromptu alliances were formed and broken, and at least 3 minor diplomatic incidents were sparked. Jake stood in the middle of it all, mouth agape, wondering how his attempt to clear things up had gone so spectacularly wrong. He locked eyes with Lorax, who was trying to wade through the crowd towards him. "Jake," Lorax called out, "I think it's time for a strategic retreat." Nodding gratefully, Jake allowed his furry friend to guide him through a back exit. As they ran through the corridors, alarms blaring behind them, Jake couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. "You know, Lorax," he panted as they ducked into a maintenance shaft. "When I came here, I thought the hardest part would be keeping up with the advanced classes. I never imagined I'd be running from a horde of lovesick aliens." Lorax's fur rippled with amusement. "Welcome to galactic politics, Jake. It's not always about treaties and trade agreements. Sometimes it's about managing a multitude of cultural expectations and avoiding unintentional proposals." As they caught their breath in their hiding spot, Jake's communicator buzzed. It was a message from Dean Zixria. "Mr. Thompson, please report to my office immediately. We need to discuss the situation." Jake groaned. He had a feeling that this meeting wasn't going to be about his academic performance. As Earth's representative, he had hoped to foster understanding and cooperation. Instead, he had inadvertently caused the biggest uproar the Galactic Academy had seen in centuries. As he made his way to the dean's office, dodging the occasional overzealous admirer, Jake couldn't help but wonder, how could he possibly fix this mess? And more importantly, how could he turn this chaos into an opportunity to truly bridge the gap between Earth and the rest of the galaxy? Little did Jake know, his unintentional disruption of the Academy's status quo was about to catch the attention of some very powerful players in galactic politics. His accidental rise as the Academy's most eligible bachelor was about to thrust him into a role he never expected, a key figure in shaping the future of Earth's place among the stars. Human ingenuity. Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat, feeling the weight of Dean Zixria's four-eyed gaze. The dean's office was a marvel of alien architecture, with walls that seemed to shift and change color based on the mood of the conversation. Right now, they were a deep, concerned purple. "Mr. Thompson," Dean Zixria began, her voice a mix of exasperation and amusement. "When we invited Earth to send a student ambassador, we expected cultural exchanges, not interstellar incidents." Jake winced. "I'm really sorry, Dean. I never meant for any of this to happen. I was just trying to be friendly and..." The dean held up a hand to stop him. I understand, Jake. Your situation is unique, and we perhaps underestimated the impact a human would have on our diverse student body. However, we need to find a way to resolve this situation before it escalates further. Just then, the dean's communication device chimed. Her expression grew serious as she listened to the message. It seems, she said slowly, that your popularity has attracted some unwanted attention. The Galactic Council is concerned about the potential diplomatic implications of your situation. Jake's heart sank. This was exactly what he had been afraid of, that his actions might somehow jeopardize Earth's standing in the galactic community. What can I do to fix this? He asked, determination creeping into his voice. Dean Zixria's eyes twinkled with an alien equivalent of a smile. That's the spirit, Mr. Thompson. In fact, I believe we have an opportunity here. The Academy's annual Interspecies Cooperation Challenge is coming up. If you can lead a team to victory, it might help smooth over some of the recent turbulence. Jake nodded eagerly, grateful for the chance to make things right. As he left the dean's office, his mind was already racing with ideas. The Interspecies Cooperation Challenge was a legendary event at the Academy, where teams of diverse species had to work together to solve complex problems and overcome obstacles. Over the next few weeks, Jake threw himself into preparations for the challenge. He assembled a team that reflected the diversity of the Academy. Lurax, with his multiple limbs and keen sense of balance. Zephyr, the gaseous being whose malleable form could squeeze through tight spaces. Vexcha, whose insectoid strength and problem-solving skills were unmatched. And Zaravek, whose empathic abilities could help keep the team unified. As they trained together, Jake found himself drawing on skills he never knew he had. His human adaptability and out-of-the-box thinking often led to solutions that surprised his alien teammates. You know, Vexcha clicked one day after a particularly grueling practice session. I'm beginning to understand why so many at the Academy are fascinated by you, Jake. Your species has a unique way of approaching problems. The day of the challenge arrived, and the Academy was buzzing with excitement. The event was being broadcast across the galaxy, with diplomats and leaders from various worlds tuning in to watch. Jake felt the pressure mounting. This was about more than just winning a competition. It was about proving that humanity deserved its place among the stars. The challenge itself was a grueling test of physical and mental abilities. Teams had to navigate a shape-shifting maze, solve quantum puzzles, and work together to overcome obstacles designed to test the limits of interspecies cooperation. Jake's team faced their first major hurdle at a chasm that seemed impossible to cross. While other teams argued or hesitated, Jake remembered something from his Earth studies. Guys, I have an idea, he said, explaining his plan quickly. Using Zephyr's gaseous form as a makeshift balloon, Vexcha's silk as a rope, and Lurax's agility for balance, they created a bridge that allowed them to swing across the chasm. The crowd went wild at this display of innovative teamwork. As they progressed through the challenges, Jake's quick thinking and ability to unite his diverse team became more and more apparent. In one task, they had to disarm a complex device emitting harmful radiation. While other teams struggled with the alien technology, Jake recognized patterns similar to puzzles he'd solved in video games back on Earth. It's like a big game of Simon Says, he explained to his confused teammates, guiding them through the sequence needed to shut down the device. In the final challenge, teams had to work together to stabilize an artificial miniature star that was on the verge of collapse. As alarms blared and the star pulsed dangerously, Jake had a flash of inspiration. Zaravek, he called out, use your empathic abilities to sense the star's fluctuations. Zephyr, disperse yourself around it to absorb excess energy. Vexcha, use your exoskeleton to channel the energy. And Lurax, your multiple limbs can help adjust the containment field. Working in perfect harmony, the team managed to stabilize the star, securing their victory in the challenge. The stadium erupted in cheers as Dean Zixria announced their win. As Jake and his team stood on the victory podium, he felt a surge of pride. not just for himself, but for what they had accomplished together. This wasn't just a win for him or even for Earth. It was a testament to what could be achieved when different species came together and combined their unique strengths. In the days that followed, Jake found the atmosphere at the Academy had shifted. The frenzied attention he had been receiving transformed into genuine respect and curiosity. Students from all species sought him out, not for romantic overtures, but to learn more about human problem-solving and adaptability. Even Krex, the Volbanian who had challenged him to ritual combat, approached Jake with a grudging respect. "Your victory was impressive, human," Krex admitted. "Perhaps there is more to your species than I first thought." As Jake walked through the Academy halls, now filled with excited discussions about human ingenuity rather than gossip about his love life, he couldn't help but smile. He had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but in the process, he had also become a teacher, showing the galaxy the unique strengths that humanity could bring to the cosmic community. Little did Jake know, his performance in the Interspecies Cooperation Challenge had caught the eye of some very influential beings. As news of the humans' innovative leadership spread across the galaxy, forces were already in motion that would soon catapult Jake from a simple student ambassador to a key player in galactic politics. The real test of his skills and the true impact of humanity's entry onto the galactic stage was just beginning. Galactic consequences. Jake's victory in the Interspecies Cooperation Challenge had far-reaching effects beyond the walls of the Galactic Academy. As he sat in his dormitory, scrolling through news feeds on his holographic display, he was stunned by the galaxy-wide attention he had garnered. "Human ingenuity shocks galactic community," one headline blared. Another read, "Earth's potential, a new power in the cosmic balance." Jake felt a mix of pride and unease as he realized the weight of responsibility now resting on his shoulders. A gentle knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. It was Dean Zixria, her normally composed features betraying a hint of concern. "Jake," she said, her voice low and serious, "we need to talk. The Galactic Council has taken notice of your achievements, and, well, it's complicated." As they walked through the Academy's shimmering corridors, Dean Zixria explained the situation. Jake's performance had not only impressed many, but it had also alarmed some of the more conservative factions in galactic politics. There were concerns about Earth's rapid rise in galactic affairs and fears about how quickly humans might advance if given access to advanced alien technologies. "Some see your adaptability as a threat," the Dean explained. "They worry that humans might upset the delicate balance of power that has kept peace in the galaxy for millennia." Jake's mind reeled. He had come to the Academy to learn and to represent Earth, not to become a focal point of interstellar politics. "What can I do?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Before Dean Zixria could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the Academy. Red lights flashed, and students of all species began rushing through the halls in panic. "Attention all beings," Aria's calm voice echoed through the station. "We are experiencing a level 5 quantum flux storm. Please proceed to your designated safe zones immediately." Dean Zixria's eyes widened in shock. "This is impossible," she muttered. "Our shielding should have protected us from any such phenomenon." As they rushed towards the command center, Jake's mind was racing. He had learned about quantum flux storms in his astrophysics class. They were rare and incredibly dangerous disturbances in the fabric of space-time that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. The command center was a hive of activity. Aliens of all species were working frantically at control panels, trying to reinforce the Academy's failing shields. Through the main viewport, Jake could see the storm approaching, a writhing mass of energy it seemed to devour the very stars themselves. "Our conventional defenses are useless," one of the technicians reported, their tentacles waving in distress. "The storm is unlike anything we've ever encountered." As the situation grew more desperate, Jake felt a familiar spark of inspiration. He remembered a theory he had discussed with his xenophysics professor about the nature of quantum entanglement and its potential applications in energy dispersion. Wait, he called out, pushing his way to the main control panel. What if we reverse the polarity of the shield generators and use them to create a quantum entanglement field? The alien technicians looked at him in confusion, but Dean Zixria's eyes lit up with understanding. It's risky, she said, but it just might work. Do it. Working quickly, Jake and the Academy's top scientists implemented his plan. As the storm hit, the modified shields began to glow with an otherworldly light. The entire station shuddered, and for a moment, it seemed like all might be lost. But then, miraculously, the storm began to dissipate. The quantum entanglement field had worked, dispersing the destructive energy harmlessly into subspace. As cheers erupted throughout the command center, Jake felt a mixture of relief and amazement. He had just helped save the Galactic Academy from certain destruction. However, the aftermath of the incident brought new challenges. News of Jake's role in averting the disaster spread quickly, and soon the Academy was inundated with communiques from across the galaxy. Some were messages of gratitude and admiration, praising the quick thinking of the human student. Others, however, were less positive. Accusations began to fly that Earth might have somehow engineered the quantum flux storm as a display of power. Jake found himself at the center of a galactic political storm. Representatives from various alien factions demanded audiences with him, each trying to gauge the true extent of human capabilities and intentions. As he sat through meeting after meeting, trying to navigate the complex web of galactic politics, Jake couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. He was just a teenager from Seattle, thrust into a role he had never imagined. You must understand. A jellyfish-like diplomat gurgled at him during one particularly tense meeting, that the balance of power in our galaxy is delicate. The sudden emergence of a species with your potential is cause for concern. Jake took a deep breath, channeling all he had learned about diplomacy and interspecies communication. I understand your concerns, he said carefully, but Earth doesn't seek to disrupt the galactic order. We only want to learn and contribute positively to the galactic community. As the debates raged on, Jake realized that his actions and words now carried weight far beyond the Academy. He was no longer just a student or even just an ambassador. He had become a symbol of humanity's potential and a key figure in shaping Earth's future relations with the galactic community. The pressure was immense, but as Jake looked out at the stars from his dormitory window, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but now he had the opportunity to teach, to show the galaxy that humanity's adaptability and ingenuity could be a force for good. Little did Jake know, his greatest challenge was yet to come. As tensions in the galaxy continued to rise, a shadowy threat was emerging, one that would test not only Jake's abilities, but the very foundations of galactic civilization itself. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of Earth and its place among the stars. Humanity's strength. The weeks following the quantum flux storm incident were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, debates, and increasing tension. Jake found himself at the center of it all, trying to navigate the complex web of galactic politics while still attending his classes and maintaining some semblance of a normal student life. One evening, as Jake was studying in the library, his communicator buzzed with an urgent message from Dean Zixria. Emergency meeting. My office. Now. When Jake arrived, he found not only the dean, but also a holographic projection of the Galactic Council. Their expressions were grave. Mr. Thompson, one of the counselors began, we've uncovered a plot that threatens the entire galactic community. An extremist group known as the Void Collective has infiltrated key positions across multiple worlds. We believe they were behind the quantum flux storm, and they're planning something far worse. Jake's mind raced. What do they want? He'd asked. To reset the galaxy, Dean Zixria explained. They believe that current galactic civilization has become stagnant and corrupt. Their goal is to trigger a catastrophic event that will wipe the slate clean, allowing them to reshape the galaxy according to their twisted vision. The counselors turned their attention to Jake. Your actions during the flux storm and your unique human perspective have made you uniquely qualified to help us. We need you to lead a team to infiltrate their base and stop them before it's too late." Jake felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. This was far beyond anything he had ever imagined when he first arrived at the academy, but he knew he couldn't refuse. "I'll do it," he said, his voice firm with determination, "but I choose my team." Over the next few days, Jake assembled his team: Lorax, Zephyr, Vex-Cha, and Zarovek, the same diverse group that had helped him win the Interspecies Cooperation Challenge. Each brought unique skills that Jake knew would be crucial for the mission ahead. Their target was a hidden Void Collective base on a remote asteroid. As their stealth ship approached, Jake briefed his team one last time. "Remember," he said, "our strength is in our diversity. We each bring something unique to this mission. Together, we can overcome anything they throw at us." Infiltrating the base proved challenging. They faced advanced security systems, traps designed to target specific species weaknesses, and Void Collective guards from across the galaxy. But Jake's team worked in perfect harmony, each member's strengths compensating for the other's limitations. As they delved deeper into the facility, they discovered the true horror of the Void Collective's plan. The extremists had constructed a device capable of destabilizing the very fabric of space-time across the entire galaxy. "We have less than an hour before they activate it," Zarovek reported, her empathic abilities sensing the rising tension among the Void Collective members. Jake and his team raced against time, fighting their way to the central control room. But when they arrived, they found themselves face to face with the Void Collective's leader, a being of pure energy encased in a suit of advanced technology. "Ah, the human and his menagerie," the leader sneered. "How fitting that you should be here to witness the rebirth of the galaxy." A fierce battle ensued. The Void Leader's technology gave them incredible power, but Jake's team fought with everything they had. As the fight raged on, Jake noticed something. The leader's attacks, while powerful, were predictable. They followed patterns, much like the complex video games he used to play back on Earth. "Guys," Jake called out to his team, "I have a plan, but I need you to trust me and follow my lead exactly." What followed was an elaborate dance of coordination. Jake called out moves, each team member playing their part perfectly. Lorax's agility, Zephyr's malleable form, Vex-Cha's strength, and Zarovek's empathic abilities all came together under Jake's guidance. Slowly but surely, they maneuvered the Void Leader into a position where their defenses were weakest. With a final coordinated strike, they managed to disable the leader's suit, rendering them powerless. With seconds to spare, Jake and Vex-Cha worked together to disable the Doomsday device, while Zephyr and Lorax secured the Void Collective members. Zarovek used her abilities to calm the situation and prevent any last-minute acts of desperation. As Galactic peacekeepers arrived to take control of the situation, Jake and his team were hailed as heroes. News of their victory spread across the galaxy, and this time, there was no ambiguity about humanity's role. Earth had proven itself not just as an emerging power, but as a valuable member of the galactic community. In the days that followed, Jake found himself addressing the Galactic Council once again, but this time, instead of defending humanity's place in the galaxy, he was being honored for his service. Jake Thompson, the head counselor, announced, "Your actions have not only saved countless lives, but have also shown us the true potential of interspecies cooperation. Humanity's adaptability, creativity, and ability to unite diverse beings towards a common goal are traits that our galactic community sorely needs." As Jake looked out at the assembled representatives from across the galaxy, he felt a sense of pride, not just in himself, but in what he represented. He had come to the Galactic Academy as a student, but he had become a teacher, showing the galaxy the best of what humanity had to offer. "Thank you," Jake said, his voice steady and clear. "But this victory doesn't belong to me alone, or even to humanity. It belongs to all of us. It's proof of what we can achieve when we come together, embracing our differences and using them as strengths rather than seeing them as divisions. As applause filled the council chambers, Jake knew that this was just the beginning. Earth's journey among the stars was only just starting, and he was excited to see where it would lead. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was ready to take its place as part of this grand, cosmic community. Jake Thompson, the accidental Playboy turned galactic hero, had not only found his place among the stars, he had helped secure humanity's future in the grand tapestry of the cosmos.